Of the day. For all the previous panel discussions, please visit YouTube channel. Now the next panel discussion is, the topic is School Quality Assessment and Assurance Framework. The moderator for this panel discussion is Dr. Dhirendra Mishra, Director, Life Educare, Sagar Girls School, Ujjain. Oh, sorry. I'll just correct myself. Ms. Rekha Singh, Gyan Sagar Girls School, Devas. Our next panelist is Ms. Timsi Rai, Director, Advanced Academy, Indore. Purana ma'am, educationist and ex-chairperson Sahodaya, to please join us on the panel.
That's what any teacher would want, right? The stage. Thank you, first of all, the panelists to take time out and was out of the website. So I had downloaded it before it vanished out of the website. And again, CBSE is trying to bring this SQAA back to school. So before we get into the discussion, let me set the context. So country tried, I think during Kapil Sibbal's regime, people tried talking about one India, one syllabus. So my point to that was that a school, say a school in Vasant Kunj or a school in South Delhi and a school in Jhabua, Gadchiroli or Jagdalpur of India, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, the last child in the value chain in Jhabua and the first child in the, in say DPS RK Puram, can they study the same? Can they follow the same curriculum? Can they be taught the same way? I don't know, I'm opening a Pandora box because, not everybody needs the same, they need education, the learning outcomes, but each schools are different in their own approach. But, that time there was this movement that the entire country, Kapil Sibal started, the entire country is going to study the same thing. So my point to myself is, should this standardized SQAA be enforced on all the schools? So I think, the audience that are sitting here, let us first educate ourselves. What is our understanding of SQAA? So, Ma'am Khanna, I would want to ask this from you. What do you feel SQAA is and how helpful will it be for the schools?
Hello. A very good afternoon to the panelists, to the moderator and all the audience who's there. See, school quality assurance, assessment and assurance is an instrument, or you can call it a tool, or you can call it a framework that will, the purpose of this assessment is not to assess the school, but the purpose of this assessment is to upgrade and enhance the educational quality of the school. That's number one. Number two, when we're talking about upgrading and upscaling a school, we are also talking about all the 7 domains that this SQA consists of. It's going to touch upon all the 7 domains, which is scholastic, co-scholastic. It consists of infrastructure, inclusive education, management, policy making, governance, leadership, etc. So when we are talking about each school, every school must have its policy framework in place. So if the policy framework is clear to the management, so definitely if they are drafting their curriculum, curriculum is not just one teaching learning practice or some pedagogy. It constitutes a very complex and very comprehensive component. It consists of comprehensive components. So every school will be different. Definitely they will be different. But according to every standard that they are practicing, it could be a small school or a big school. So a small school may be having a kabaddi competition probably, some game as kabaddi. But a big school could be having some shooting, rifle shooting, doesn't matter. But according to every standard, what is the performance indicator? Does the school look involved into that particular pedagogy or teaching learning practice, etc.? So they will score points there. So in case they are midway, they are not able to, for example, if I'm talking about curriculum planning, so are the teachers of the school, are they aware of the NEP and NCF? They get 4 points. If they are not, and they are just carrying on with the certain syllabi, they will definitely not, the school will not score that many number of points. So what I understand of SQUA is leadership. How are the leaders of your organization? How have they organized all the processes of the school so that it becomes inclusive, it becomes collaborative. See, we are now in 21st century. We are talking about India taking on the whole world. How will India take on the whole world if we are not collaborating with one another? If we are not global citizens? So, SQUA is talking about making global citizens. We all need to make a lot of changes. Sir, can I just continue for a minute more?
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
So, Winston Churchill, when he left India, he said, this country will be ruled by hooligans. And it so happened. We are ruled by hooligans. See what has happened to our society. Why these changes at this hour are required for our country? Because we do feel that our country had become really incompetent our people were very incompetent. Today, children, students, they wait for the government, they look at the government to give them employment. They are not self-governed. So in order to get things in place, this SQUA has been introduced, and it's not a rating agency. It will rate your practices that you are doing in the school and enhance and improve your quality of institution. It will reflect back to the stakeholders how good you are, and then you definitely will feel proud of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving us your perspective of SQA. Now, my question to Madam Timsey would be, ma'am, what do you feel, what is your understanding of SQA?
So, what I get about SQA is that, first of all, it is not about some external agency coming straight away and assessing you. It starts with very rightful attitude, that is self-reflection. First of all, just assess yourself. And I think this is very important. No matter what we are doing in life, we should be the best judge of our own actions. Before anybody else in this whole world gets the right to correct us, why not correct our own self first? That should be done first of all. So what I am understanding about this comprehensive document, around 200 plus pages, and somewhere I read it is having 7 domains, and then I heard in a video it is saying 8 domains like scholastic, co-scholastic, infrastructure, and all those.
Yeah, I think we have currently 40% for the scholastic and 10% each for the under 6-7 domains.
I am so happy that there are really so intelligent people over there who sat down to frame such a comprehensive document which is covering each and every aspect of school education. They have not left anything. Even happiness quotient also they have taken care of, that you need to assess whether teachers are happy. And principal has to check all these things, but there is a mention that is the principal also happy? She enjoys working in the school? That, and the team, such wonderful team of school you have to form, that is including one teacher from the pre-primary of your own school, one for primary, one from secondary, senior secondary, then one from your labs, one from your music department, and then students. I saw that they included, the assessing team needs to have students also, 4th standard student, 6th standard, like that. So those people are going to assess, real assessment. And I think journey of success or discovery begins with self-reflection. So what else?
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So now to Madam Rekha, ma'am, what do you think is SQUA for you and for your school?
Good evening, everyone. And it's very wonderful to have everyone here, and thank you for making me a part of this discussion. We are all talking about SQAA. First of all, we need to know that what is a school. School is a place where a parent sends his or her piece of heart for the next 15 years with the trust that my child is going to be transformed. He or she is not sending his child for the bookish knowledge. He is sending for the whole transformation of his child. That means the responsibility of the school is that each and every child has to be taken care of. School does not need, it has to provide knowledge, but at the same time, the schools have to take the responsibility of making the child a worthy citizen, developing life skills, developing that command over the language, has to make the students physically, emotionally fit, mentally fit, have to develop qualities like leadership. Then the child should be able to think critically, analyze, has to become a leader. And we are talking about developing 21st century skills. Now the irony is we are already in 21st century, and now we are talking about developing 21st century skills. We have already passed a quarter of this century. The year 23 is running, that means a quarter of this century is over, and now we are talking. Since the last 1.5 years, we have been, this word 21st century skill has become, means everywhere we are listening to it. We are very late. So schools were not doing the work very properly. There are, very sorry to say, there are more than 28,000 CBSE schools in India, only in India. And when the results of various pilot projects were conducted like SAFAL, NAS and all, and we compare that where do we stand in terms of education from the previous time to present, we see that the education system is poor in India. Some of the schools are really doing very well, but here we have to talk on national level. We have to see that all the schools are at least working on one level. Every school, the good schools, because of whom India is rising, there are very few schools. They will always maintain their uniqueness, but there is a need that all those schools who are not understanding the purpose of education, they were not doing justice with the students. For them, this framework has been introduced. As sir has very rightly said that it was introduced in the year 2012. At that time there were 8 domains. And this domain of curriculum and pedagogy, it was 25% and 15%, which has been now clubbed. Then it was taken away in the year in 2016, and again in 2023, it has been introduced with the clause also that all those schools which are going to take the affiliation, who are going to apply for it or for upgrading, for them it has become mandatory that first they need to complete the SQUA framework and then they can go for the affiliation. For other schools also it has become mandatory. But it has to be taken in a very healthy spirit. Few months back, all the principals, because I come from Devas and I'm associated with all the principals of Ujjain and Devas because I'm the chairperson of Devas Ujjain Sahodhya Schools Complex. So we keep on interacting all the principals. So all the principals on the WhatsApp group were talking about what's wow, kya hai ye, kya hai ye, kya hai ye, kya hai. It's nothing. There's nothing to get panicked. It's a very healthy tool. If we go in depth, it is all what we have already been doing all these things. The only thing is that it has now been put into words. It has, a PDF has been made of 300 pages and it is very properly prepared, very exhaustive, but very, means each and everything is mentioned. So at least the minimum level is also being done by the school. India will be able to reach at a certain level. All the schools will be doing the same work because in SQUA it is self-assessment. We are not here just to, like one of the person said, there is a difference between teacher and a guru. Teacher means teach and earn. Yes, teach and earn, but we are not here only for earning. We are doing a noble job. We have got a lot of responsibility. So the teachers, the school, the leaders, all those who are associated with school, with the students, it's our moral duty to see that we are doing justice with the students. And if we go through the framework, we will see and we will get motivated. We will assess that where are we lagging, where do we stand, and how far we have to go, because there, after assessing, you will be given a score. There are 4 levels also. So even if all the schools are able to achieve that first point, which is inceptive. So at least, then the second one is transition, then the third one is stable, and the fourth one is dynamic evolving. So first point also is achieved, the target is completed. So for me, SQUAF is really a very good thing and all the schools should welcome it and do it very judiciously. Not for the sake of showing to others, but to be answerable to oneself only. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So, at the cost of being judged as somebody who's against SQUA, I would ek muhavra bolunga, because it's about self-assessment and self-improvement. Andha baate revdi phir apahi de. So because I have a point, we all have run schools, we have been principals of CBSE schools. I think we can think about implementing SQUA the day we don't have to prepare for our re-affiliation visit. Any school in the country, I have myself set up about 70 odd schools, affiliation, re-affiliation, every visit there has to be planning done, right? You need to make papers, note stuff. Why? If we are so transparent and so, there are schools who do not even fulfill the norms what was advised to them in the previous affiliation visit. Because somehow, so much of documentation that people just try to finish the documentation. And my another concern is that the schools, SQA is a beautiful document. If I say that it is not, possibly I don't understand education. My problem is the implementation. What SQAA asks for, a CBSE affiliation is not even half of it. How many of us do that diligently? Do we? No. Then what are we talking about? So somewhere I feel that, it's a beautiful document, good to have, but very difficult to practice. So my next question maybe to you, ma'am, is how do you think a school who understands that much, who understands what the mistakes are, how do they record and how do they work on it? Because, you need extra guidance. So somewhere I have this fear that this document is going to be a lot of data without analysis, reflection. Self-reflection is fine, but you need a third party. Again, when we have CBSE inspection, inspectors come, go. Here, if tomorrow it is said that, whatever you have done, from the same Sahodaya, somebody is going to come and evaluate that and give you grading. Would you open your school to somebody in the area that, I want to show my happiness index to people? So, my understanding is that the policy, the document is beautiful. How do you execute that? So, my question to you is, ma'am, how would you execute this in your school?
See, I had executed it in my school in 2014. So you did mention that before it got off from the net, even I downloaded it. So it was a box file in which I had to keep because it was like so many pages. I read through the whole document and I want to share something with you. I did not have textbooks in my school. So every teacher became a leader. Because when you जब अभाव होता है किसी चीज़ का तभी हम समृद्ध बनते हैं. मुझे उसका हिंदी सेइंग नहीं आता है, बट आई कैन कनेक्ट वर्ड्स एंड से. सो देयर वर नो बुक्स, नो टेक्स्ट, सॉरी, बुक्स वर देयर, देयर वर नो टेक्स्ट बुक्स. नाउ द टीचर्स, when I took on in 2009 the school, we sat down together and we drafted the whole syllabi. Later on, we kept on changing the syllabi as per the needs of that whole area. The children made it child-centric, stakeholder-centric also. Stakeholder-centric also. Their emotions, their feelings, their aspirations were also included in our syllabi. So, when we were documenting the policy and we were documenting the whole syllabi, teachers were given that freedom to construct. Now, when you give the freedom to construct, automatically you start, I think just one panel before this panel, I remember somebody saying thinking process. So the thinking process started. Now, in my school, we did not have followers. We had leaders. They would think wrong sometimes, but we were there and it used to be a collaborative effort. So when we started documenting, we started working it against the SQAA. There were so many practices that we incorporated. Now, there is no practice that happens without a group. So whether it is even teaching, learning. So group instructed strategies are there. No child is rated individually. Every child is rated in a group. So the points that that group gets, whether the high achiever or the low achiever will get, of course the teacher would know that, against a task. So creating experiences, experiential learning, creating tasks for children. We made teachers aware of the NCF 2005. At that time, 2019 NCF was not in place. So we made them aware of NCF 2005. NAP came quite later. But then we were already doing what the NAP was stated to us because we were following the NCF. Because the whole NAP is based on the NCF. So if a school gives that power of freedom to teachers to think, and then that transfers to the children, that thinking process transfers to the children, the school will make a difference. So in a very layman language, if I can say, कि पुराने ज़माने में सास होती थी तो वो बहू को चाबी देती थी, शादी हुई है ले यू तेरे को संभालना है, तो बट शी यूज्ड टू कीप एन आई ऑन द बहू अभी क्या हो गया, टीचर्स बहू बन गई. टीचर्स को बहू नहीं बनना है, टीचर्स को भी सास बनना है. So they have to give the work to the children, empower. Every work in my school was done by children. Every damn work. Teachers were not allowed to teach at all. And that made the difference to the school. Today, I am proud to say my children are placed all across the world. United States of America, you say, and they all come from a very humble background. Anywhere. It's not going to America is a big thing, I'm not saying. But having guts to go against the tide and reach there is what I've earned. So you can easily make a breakthrough, provided your policy documents are in place. You have a clear vision of what you want. There is no vision. We are just, I'm sorry to say, I'm very sorry, sir, but even principals do not know where they are taking. Forget teachers and parents do not know where they want their children to be.
Exactly my point, ma'am. So
प्रॉब्लम हमारी कंट्री के साथ प्रॉब्लम था, और वो जो प्रॉब्लम था ब्रिटिशर्स का क्रिएट किया हुआ. This document NCF, NAP, and then topping on the cake was SQUA.
no, I understand, ma'am. That's what I'm saying. When I started doing what I do today, there were 6,700 CBSE schools. Today there are 30,000 CBSE schools. In 15 years, 16 years, there are about 23,000 new CBSE schools. And you rightly said that even principals don't know what to do. That's exactly my concern. At the cost of not being judged as somebody who's against the SQUA, I'm saying if you do not know, how do you, I mean, your school, you were the leader, Indore is a privileged place. I'm talking about somebody in Baramulla who has a CBSE school. I'm talking about somebody in Bongaigaon in Assam, or Rameshwaram, having a school. It's a good place to go for pilgrimage, but a CBSE school in Rameshwaram possibly doesn't have the leadership which can do all this. So in this parlance, my thing is, policy is beautiful, but execution may not happen, so it may just become a data collection and the data is not even utilized. So ma'am, my question to you is, how do you think in your school you will benchmark where you are? Suppose you are in a school in back of beyond of Tamil Nadu or in Jammu and Kashmir. How do you think you can actually improve yourself if you do not really know what to improve? If you cannot, understand what to measure, how do you measure and improve that? How do you think, the principal in the last mile school would be able to assess and then reflect without being, properly supported? Over to you.
So, first of all, when you are the leader, when it is in your hands, you are running an institution, a school, so it is expected that you are aware, you should know the vision, why you are leading a school, you have taken a position. So a leader always has to be active, most active, and that, I think leader doesn't have to work a lot. A leader, like we were discussing earlier, the leader should know how to get the work done. Leader should know how to identify the talent. And he should be knowing where the improvement needs to be done. Now, especially in today's times when information is so easily available. So this question probably if you would have asked me about 20 years ago, then maybe my answer would have been very different. But in today's time, wherever you are placed, it's so easy to get the information, to know what are the standards and in which direction we should be leading our institution, our school. And first of all, like assessment as we begin, we need to know where we are standing right now. Starting from infrastructure, for example. So it's not about comparison that whether, a school probably in a metro city, a very good school with a huge infrastructure, we cannot compare with that. But we were discussing, it is all about what resources I am having in my school. Okay, whatever resources, what the paying capacity of the parents, the fees which we are collecting, and all those resources, are we able to make judicious use of that? So that is we are talking about. It's not comparison. That whether that particular school, what they are going to do, it doesn't matter. What I am able to do in my school with all the limited resources which I am able to multiply it, am I going to give the best to my teachers, my children? So that, first of all. Second, now first of all, because when we are not sitting down to assess where we are going wrong, then we are so busy, nobody else will have time also to tell us. We don't have time. We are so busy, so occupied. We'll go on probably in the wrong direction we are going. So things like that. Squaw.
Ma'am, that's my point. If you do not really know, I mean, you have the document, but if it is self-reflection, self-assessment and self-improvement. No, but I'm saying as a school, you're not opening your doors to the outsiders. How do you think you would learn? How do you think you would improve?
We need to open the doors. We need to invite people. And actually, I was just discussing with ma'am, we don't have to wait for anything like SCOF to do that. Even suppose if there is no external agency coming there to check, it is very sensible as a school leader, as a school principal, to ask the fellow, anybody from outside who is running a very good school, you just call them, keep calling them, please, just check. Check our classrooms, check our infra, check how we are doing, are we doing good things? Because this
But most of the schools don't do that.
see,
That is why SCOF is
Probably that's why
required.
it is
So
mandatory.
that everybody can start doing.
everybody doesn't speak the truth.
So the time is also running. Time is also running.
is why-
I think So I am not against it. Again, third time I'm saying I'm not against it. But I somewhere feel it will become like an affiliation document. You need to do that once in a year and get done with it. This is a never-ending process. It has to be done on a daily basis. Sorry. So am I. I'm just concerned about the execution bit of it, because there is no check and balance mechanism there.
The persons, they will feel that our score is going low, so they themselves will get motivated to uplift
That's where I said Andha Bate Revdi. Why would I rate myself low?
No, we are getting a scorecard. There is a scorecard.
I know that. So, ma'am, my question to you, the last question is to you, is that how do you think as a principal, I'm sure, you would know there are these, so awareness about the parameters is also a knowledge, right? Oh, I didn't know that this existed, so let me work on it. It will. So, as a leader, as a school principal, how do you think you would see yourself developing as a leader via SQA?
Sir, to be very frank, this SQA was very new for me also. And just 2 months back, I met with an accident and my leg was fractured, so I was at home. And at that time only, this was means everybody was talking about SQA, so I started doing it. I was not knowing that what are going to be the consequences. I have completed this SQA for my school. I've
Wonderful,
completed.
congratulations.
Thank you, sir. And without knowing that what is going to be the consequence, and just I kept on reading all the benchmarks, and I know my school, I know everything because I've been working there since the inception of the school, because I was the first principal. This is the 9th session. So, and without knowing anything, my school has been able to score 75% out of 100%. That is a good score, without doing anything extra. So, of course, next year, because this is a continuous process, every year we have to do. From March to December, it has to be done between this period. So, of course, next year when I'll be filling the SQA, before that, I will ensure that I will make some changes, I'll make some improvements. The areas where my school have not got the good points, there I will work upon. And definitely, because this is a self-motivation for me. So if this is taken in this spirit that everybody wants good scores, everybody wants. So this is going to be a motivation for me, and definitely I will work on that. So, and if I have made up my mind, I will see to it that everybody, the students, the teachers, the infrastructure, everything is taken care of.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for showing us the ray of hope that, you're working towards it. I think the time is up. I have a lot of questions and we can go on for next 2 hours, but why do that? I thank you all for being a part of this discussion. Even if we are a handful of people sitting here, but it was great learning, I'm sure, for all of us. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Dr. Mishra, and let me assure you this conversation is going to stay online and it's available, it's permanent and it's documented and very important. So it's time that we felicitate our panelist. So may I please request Mr. Swaranjit Singh, YUP Smart Classroom Solutions, to please felicitate our moderator, Dr. Dhirendra Mishra. May I please request, so please stay if you can for some time, we'll have a group picture. May I request Mr. Ajay Rishi, Director Vedant Preschool, to please felicitate Ms. Rekha Singh, Gyan Sagar Girls School, Devas. इनके नाम के हो चुके Felicitate Timsi Rai ma'am, Director, Advanced Academy. I would request Mr. Ravi Roshan ji, Credo, from Credo, to please felicitate Madam Reena Khurana. Okay. May I please request Mr. Rohit Jain to come and felicitate Madam Reena Khurana. Please come for the group photograph.